Hi, everyone. I am so honored and really excited to be here today. And for me, today is about giving you some tips on things that I've learned throughout my experiences and my career as someone who looks different in tech. Yes, I'm a young Black African woman in tech and really proud to be. I don't usually talk about my personal experiences unless I do one-on-one mentorship. And for me, this talk is a little bit difficult. It's probably the most difficult I had to do this week. But when Elena and Catherine offered me the opportunity to do so, I told myself that if I don't share with you what it means and feels to be a little bit different in a world of technology and the lessons that I've come to learn through my own experiences, who am I going to share it with? So I'm going to share it through a couple of small stories that happened to me in my personal life, and I'm going to give you four different lessons that I got from these experiences. So my family comes from Central African Republic, which is a country in Africa which has a long and very turbulent history of violent conflict and political instabilities. And for me, this conflict has a personal aspect because my grandfather used to work for Interpol, and he was murdered in 50 years ago by a dictator who was taking over the country. And when this happened, my grandmother and my mom and her brothers and sisters, 5 children in total, were put in surveilled residence, or otherwise known as prison, at the border of Sudan, where they were denied contacts with the rest of the family. And every single morning, my mom was telling me that my grandma was giving them education, was working hard to try to give each of them education as she could, for them not to be able to be late, for them to be able to catch up and not be too late, because they didn't have access to school at the time. And they had allies who would send them books hidden in cassava bags, so vegetables bags, to enable my grandma to give her children minimum education. When they were finally released from that prison, they managed to flew to France, and this is where I was born. And this allowed me to receive the education that allowed me to be here today. And I think that for many immigrants over the world, education takes on a huge importance. It's a right that a lot of our ancestors and people before us were denied. And we often strive to not only make our families proud, but also pay back for the sacrifices that they had to do before, when that they had to do for those who went before us. And my grandmother's courage to give all of her kids education really sowed the seeds for the education I received. And for this, I will always be grateful. But that doesn't mean that the path was always easy. Sometimes it's not about hard education, but soft or self education or even awareness. I was not aware of tech before I was 21. That was 10 years ago. And I really only discovered tech then. I was studying at the time law and political sciences, and I wanted to be a lawyer first and then a journalist. But then I was fortunate enough to win a scholarship and go to Tokyo, and seeing high tech everywhere, robots everywhere. And I thought, yes, this is what I want to work in. And then I tried to take all the steps I could to educate myself in technology. I didn't learn how to write a single line of code before I was 25. That was 5 years ago. And that's actually the point at which I got into AI. And I forced myself to learn everything I could on the field because of the nature of my job. And, I wish I was exposed or made aware of the world of tech and the world of AI before. And that's probably the first lesson that I learned, which is education and awareness count. And to be honest with you, I believe that you're already way ahead of me in this lesson just by the simple fact that you're here today and participating in this hackathon. It means that you are curious, you're aware, and you want to learn more and educate yourself even more. And that's really important. And I salute you for that. The second story I want to share with you is that once I began to work into tech, I didn't have many Black role models around. And at some point, I moved to a different country. I moved to Poland for 2 years, and I was one of the only two Black employees out of a company of 1,800 employees. And that's 0.1% of the population of the company. So I didn't really had Black role models around. I didn't know what I could achieve. But when I moved to the US to work for the same company, I realized that there were so many Black executives around here, more than I had ever met in my career. And I realized how important it was to work in an area surrounded by people who looked like me in some ways. It was really and hugely important for my career development to see people who looked like me in more senior roles and to know what they had achieved. And what they had achieved, maybe I could do it too. I have this sentence that I keep repeating to myself, which is when I grow up, I would like to be like, and usually there is a name that follows. I started a job 1 week ago, so that's my second week in the role. And I've been trying to find a name that I could put in that sentence. I haven't yet, but when I find it, I'll let you know. But doing this throughout changes in my life, throughout changes in my career, it really helps me set goals for myself by taking a role model in which I can identify and recognize myself and really try to achieve what they have achieved too. And when I see that, I say to myself, well, Kate, you can actually do it. So the second lesson I want to leave you today with this story is that having role models who look like you and in which you recognize yourself is even more important. Now, I was really fortunate enough to have a few people that I regarded as role models, and even more than role models, as mentors. I'm going to tell you a story about one of the few of my mentors. His name is Remy. So Remy, just like me, he had parents that had immigrated from Tunisia to France, and he had grown in the suburbs of Paris. Poor family, same, very similar background as I have. And at that time, when I met Remy, he was CEO of a startup which he had sold into a big tech company. And he's the one who first got me interested in AI. I was like, what is it that you're doing? I don't understand. What is AI? It's like, sit down. He took 30 minutes to talk to me, just 30 minutes. And within those 30 minutes, I don't think he knows that, but he actually changed my life. That's when I decided to get into AI. I saw him as an inspiration, and I wanted to work really hard to follow his footsteps. So I decided to get into AI, and even to this day, I still look at Remy as one of my role models. And when I grow up, I want to be like Remy. And people that I've looked at as mentors have shown a light for me. They've showed me the path that I could take, but they've also shared their wisdom to guide me. Remy is probably one of the most humble and compassionate person I've seen around me. And he's always a big advocate for women and minorities in tech, although he's a man. And having people like that around me has helped me keep an eye on the bigger pictures and my bigger goals, but also taught me that you need to emulate kindness. Kindness by taking time to mentor other young women, other underrepresented minority, and ensure that they feel comfortable, happy, and supported in their journeys and in their careers. So the third lesson I want to leave you today with this story is that mentors are vital, but you need to remember to pay it forward and also emulate what you learn from these mentors to the next generation after you. For my last story, I've been in technology for about 10 years now, almost 10 years. And I first discovered the importance of ecosystems through the work I've been doing. I first was working in building ecosystems around IoT platforms. And over the past 5 years, I've worked in building ecosystems in AI. And building ecosystems it's a thing where you connect with a lot of people outside of your company. You connect with partners, you connect with developers, you connect with communities. And I was doing that really actively in the context of my work. But what I didn't realize is that your personal ecosystem or my personal ecosystem was even more important. The community you are part of or I am part of are even more important. To date, I'm part of a few of them, such as Black in AI, Women in AI, and I really try to get involved as much as I can because the communities in your ecosystem provide a kind of place where you can share experiences. They provide you a safe space that encourage you that encourage your imagination, your development, but also your empowerment. And I can't thank Teens in AI enough for providing you that kind of safe space. One of the things we sometimes forget is that teens are so imaginative. You are imaginative, and all you need is a platform. All you need is to be given the keys to let your imagination fly. And I'm really grateful to the Teens in AI team, Elena, Catherine, and the rest of the teams who are giving you this platform. So that fourth lesson is through strong ecosystems comes empowerment. So to close on this talk today, I wanted to leave you with a quote from Harriet Tubman, who was an American abolitionist, and she escaped slavery, but she also paid it forward and in turn helped others escape slavery. And that quote is, "Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember that you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars and change the world." That quote is pretty inspiring for me, and I think it applies really, really well to you because you are the dreamers and the builders of tomorrow. Let your imagination go wild and really don't be scared to invent. And because it's you who are the dreamers and the builders of tomorrow, it gives me a lot of hopes. The world is in great hands, and I can't wait to see what you will achieve through this hackathon, but also beyond in the future. And remember that it's not about winning. If you are here, you are already a winner. I wish you all good luck. If you want to chat, if you want to reach out, feel free to. I'm always happy to have conversations. And I will see you in a couple of weeks.